Soyuz 11, the only confirmed death in space. The crew of Soyuz 11 is the only officially recognized case of people who died in outer space. On June 30, 1971, after a successful mission aboard the Salyut 1 space station, which consisted of testing the first inhabited orbital space station, cosmonaut Georgy Drobovolsky, Viktor Patsayev, and Vladislav Volkov were preparing to return to Earth. However, a design flaw led to disaster. A pressurization valve, poorly secured during assembly of the capsule, accidentally opened at an altitude of 168 km, causing a violent and uncontrollable depressurization of the cabin. In seconds, the oxygen escaped, and the three cosmonauts lost consciousness almost instantly. Their blood began to boil due to the vacuum of space, while their internal organs expanded under pressure. No screams, no chance to survive. Their bodies suffered violent internal hemorrhaging, their veins bursting from the total lack of pressure. Upon landing, ground teams opened the capsule and discovered their lifeless bodies, frozen in expressions of suffering, with blue faces and blood leaking from their noses and ears. Since this tragedy, pressurized suits have become mandatory during space flights. Soyuz 11 remains the only confirmed case of death in space, because it occurred above 100 km altitude, which officially marks the beginning of space. Other accidents happened below this frontier, meaning that technically, they are not considered space death, but I believe their stories are still powerful and deserve to be told. Challenger. The explosion after liftoff. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded 73 seconds after launch, at about 15 km altitude. The mission aimed to deploy a communication satellite and conduct scientific experiments in microgravity, while also carrying the first civilian school teacher to space. The event was broadcast live on television, watched by millions of viewers, including the classroom of the teacher herself. The accident was caused by the failure of an O-ring in one of the solid rocket boosters. The ring, poorly designed and vulnerable to cold, failed under launch pressure, allowing flames to escape and breach the main fuel tank. In a fraction of a second, the shuttle disintegrated into a spectacular fireball. Contrary to what people might think, the explosion did not kill the crew instantly. The pressurized cabin detached from the structure and continued ascending for a moment before falling back toward the ocean. Evidence shows that some astronauts survived the explosion before the cabin hit the ocean at over 300 km per hour, causing the immediate death of all 7 crew members. Columbia. Disintegration during re-entry. On February 1, 2003, after 16 days in orbit, the Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrated during atmospheric re-entry at about 60 km altitude. At that altitude, the astronauts were no longer in microgravity, and thus not considered to be in space anymore. The mission aimed to conduct scientific experiments in orbit across various fields, including biology and materials physics. The accident was caused by a suitcase-sized piece of foam insulation that detached from the main fuel tank during launch. This piece struck the shuttle's left wing at over 900 km per hour, damaging the thermal protection. During re-entry, superheated air reaching over 1500 degrees penetrated the wing structure and gradually destroyed it. Inside the cabin, extreme heat and sudden loss of pressure quickly rendered the crew unconscious. All 7 astronauts died within seconds, even before the entire shuttle structure disintegrated. The debris and human remains were found scattered across more than 3,200 square kilometers, marking one of the worst space disasters in history. The Phantom Cosmonauts. Since the beginning of space exploration, some theories claim that the Soviet Union may have sent cosmonauts into space before Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, and that some of them never came back. Radio recordings allegedly captured distress signal from lost capsules. Some accounts describe faint heartbeats and panicked voice trying to send a final message before being swallowed by the silence of space. However, no official evidence has ever confirmed these rumors, and they remain in the realm of urban legend. You can subscribe and like the video if you enjoy what I do. Anyway, bye bye!